Welcome back everyone, Laure here, and joining me right now is YoungBuck before the game of Fnatic versus Rogue. Thank you very much for joining me. You had interesting roster swaps, if I may say it, so talk me through the decision of putting Nemesis on the bot lane and MagiFelix mid lane.
Sadly, I can't go too much into the reasoning behind the swap. That is something we've always done. We always try to keep it internal, even last year with Sjokz and Bwipo. Because of strategic reasons, we don't want to give away too much to the other teams.
Well, in Ready Check, we heard that Reckless was in Sweden. Is he really in Sweden, though?
No, he's still in Berlin. He's already started to practice with us since yesterday, so all is well.
Okay, perfect then. Now, talk me about MagiFelix. How is he? Because we never saw this player in the LEC.
So he's been performing extremely well in the UK LEC and the EU Masters. And this week we started practicing with him, and I have to say it's actually phenomenal. We've also practiced a lot against our academy team, and he holds his own. It's pretty close with Nemesis. But this week we've been practicing against the top mid laners in EU LEC with him in the mid lane, and he's more than holding up. And
can you tell me anything about the synergy between Hylissang and Nemesis on the bot lane? Because that's new for them.
Hylissang and Nemesis, or Hylissang and Bwipo? Because we don't know yet who's going where. Hyli and Bwipo already have a lot of synergy, but Nemesis and Hylissang have enjoyed playing with each other, and I think it's always nice to have something fresh for the players as well.
Interesting, thank you very much for that. Now back to you, Sjokz.
Thank you very much, Laure. Listen, I'm not going to blame YoungBuck for not giving us any insight because of strategic advantages. But what I will say is that so as either Bwipo and the mid lane, top lane, bottom lane, or last year's situation is completely different from last year's situation where Reckless ended up in a pool in Sweden. And that is why I look different. This specific instance, just reading from the Fnatic statement, our management and coaching staff have decided to bench Reckless. To me, that reads as something else. Now, I don't want to get stuck in this loop of what we actually think because we don't know, right?
Sure.
I just think there's more than we heard from YoungBuck's mouth right there and what left to be.
And that ultimately makes me concerned because Fnatic have been one of the best performing teams that we have in the LEC, and they even took down G2 not too long ago. And so what I want to see going into Worlds is two teams that can fight for that title. And if like perhaps internal issues or like the swip swaps that we're seeing from Fnatic, midway of the split might be the best time to do it, but I do not want to see like these internal issues sprout up and cause problems.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the most obvious thing from this, that it's not a Bwipo Soaz situation like last year, is that Reckless isn't leaving for a long time. He's literally just out for one game. So I don't see a world in which you bring in MagiFelix for one specific strategy against Rogue. That seems very out of left field to me.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to say about it is, of course, if you think it was performance related, last week Fnatic lost to Splice, but each player except Nemesis at least tied for most personal deaths this split outside of Reckless, who had a 3-2 and 4 KDA and 679 damage per minute. He was the only one doing his job in that game.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue for Fnatic in their game up against Splice was actually Broxah and Hylissang having very uncharacteristically bad performances. And I'm not just talking like one or two botched plays. I'm talking consistently running into the enemy in situations where you're outnumbered, where you're horribly outgunned. And I just look at this and I see no situation where these plays are going to work out.
Also, Nemesis against the Kiana dropped the ball a little bit, I would say. So I think we can all agree that that was an off game, right, Vedius?
I mean, that's the bright side. That's what we'd like to think, you know, because many people would give them the benefit of the doubt because literally the day before, Broxah was 4-0 on Lee Sin by 10 minutes into the game. And like that is the Broxah we're used to seeing, and this is the Fnatic we're used to seeing. What this suggests to me is that if Fnatic do not get an early game lead through Broxah and Hylissang successfully working together, then this team might not be able to get an early game lead at all.
Those are all questions, and I think we have a lot of questions and mysteries as to why this change happened and what they are focusing on. But at the end of the day, MagiFelix is in. Who is this guy, Ender?
Well, he's a long-time challenger player. He's been in the scene for a long, long time. I think what most people remember him for is Reddit posts that praise him for holding 5 accounts in the top 20 of Challenger. I believe this was in 2018, but he's been a household name for a very long time. He's also a young guy, 19 from Sweden. So even though he has been eligible to play in the LEC for a couple of years, he's still a very, very new player to the stage, and he's finally getting his chance to break out of the regional scene and onto the big one.
And he's playing the meta, Vedius.
He certainly is. You can see that Xayah, Corki, two very big big picks that right now are very popular in the meta. And I think that given the current playstyle of Fnatic, I think it can work out very nicely. We'll see how his synergy with Broxah is, though, or whether Broxah will just choose to focus his attention up towards Bwipo moving into this game.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as champion pool is concerned, it's not like Azir and Corki are recent pickups for MagiFelix. He is a player, I think, similar to Larssen in a way, where he actually likes to play a lot of these control-style mages. So the Azir and the Corki very much fit into his wheelhouse, and that's what we can expect him to be piloting today.
Yeah, we're almost heading into that game. I do want to talk about Rogue just a little bit because they have been showing signs of improvement, I would say, as of late. Just last week, they beat Origin. They had the second best early game. They had all split. What is kind of going better for them, you think, Vedius?
So I feel like the team overall has shown significant improvement. And one of the things that Ender and I were joking about coming into today was that it feels like Inspired seems to have this great read and perception on the current state of the map and how to react. And this is a really valuable trait to have in such a young jungler, where the team doesn't snowball early game, but they do a great job of converting the map into their favor.
So with all of that, all the information about Fnatic and the up and up of Rogue, Ender, what are the chances of Rogue upsetting and beating Fnatic?
I think it's possible because we just haven't seen this roster coming through from Fnatic. But the better choice in terms of predictions, I'm going Fnatic. I think this is a more reliable team overall. There is a chance of upset, but ultimately at the end of the day, I got to go Fnatic.
Okay, well, this reconfigured Fnatic lineup face a tough challenge against a Rogue on the rise. Let's see who takes the win.
Thank you, Sjokz. I'm Drakos. This is Frosk. I like the wave. It was a nice balance. You were making me pose very dramatically leading into this.
What people can't see is that in your orange suit, your shoes. Can you get your shoe on the table? His shoes match his suit.
And that's not as important as the looming champ select, although I'm convinced I can blend in the background. I'll test that after the game for those interested. Anyway, here we go. It is, of course, Rogue versus Fnatic. Now, normally, we'd head into this week and we'd go, oh, Fnatic, easy win. Rogue, you've been looking good, but probably not enough. Now, today, ladies and gentlemen, it is absolutely a different story. Fnatic swapping players in and out. We got Nemesis in the bot lane. We got MagiFelix in the mid lane, and Rogue have been looking pretty damn good recently.
Are you suggesting that this might be Rogue's best opportunity to take down the #1 team in our league?
I absolutely am, Froskurinn.
I can't argue with that logic. I also agree with it. I think if there's any time for Rogue to actually strike, it would be now. We just heard about MagiFelix, the fact that this is his first time debuting on the LEC stage. So what is he going to do against Larssen? And while I build that hype matchup, I have a feeling it's going to be Corki or Azir, but thankfully Azir has been banned. Both these mid laners play it, and I do not want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely a golf clap to Fnatic. Champion has been dominating the mid lane meta. Not the most exciting to watch, but of course, dominating for good reason. Incredibly powerful. The Aatrox ban targeted at Bwipo on the opposite side. Ryze, too, a champion that people have talked about still being good despite the most recent set of changes, but just has not seen that much play.
One of the champions that has fallen through the draft phase so far, though, is the Karma. Never mind. I was going to be like, that would instantly be the snap lock for blue side, but Fnatic like, no Karma today.
Now see what the first pick is. Of course, a lot of potential options up and available. And it looks like the Olaf will be instantly locked in.
Okay, Drakos, I know that you have a very mixed relationship with Olaf. There's a lot of love and hate. That said, I do think Inspired is one of the better Olaf players. In fact, we were having this discussion on social media.
Okay, so I'll say this. Polish junglers are exceptionally good at Olaf. I don't know what it is about the water in Poland, but it makes good Olaf junglers.
Jankos, Inspired, probably self-made included. Whenever they lock in Olaf, it just turns into a completely different champion. So I will say, yes, if Inspired is going to play Olaf, I absolutely agree with it. The issue that Olaf has is that you really have to invest in snowballing him, since he has a very direct and kind of linear play style, that if he doesn't get snowballed, if he doesn't get strong, then in the late game when you need a team fight, he can only do one thing, and that's kind of run into the enemy team and try to assassinate the backline.
See, though, if Inspired can have that good early game, this, of course, would be the game to have it going up against Broxah. Now debating their options. They've already secured the Lux for themselves. The Sivir, a very standard pairing. If they want to round this one up, they will be going toe-to-toe with Nemesis and Hylissang's Xayah Rakan duo. Now, Hylissang on Rakan is absolutely terrifying, no doubt there. The Corki for MagiFelix, not a surprise, something that he has a history of playing. Excited to see what he can do with it. But the Xayah for Nemesis surprises me. Normally when people swap into this role, I expect to see them play like, Sivir, or like they sit back and they hide.
I mean, I think there's kind of two ways to look at it. One, I hear that Nemesis' secondary role that he plays is ADC, so he actually should be quite adept at marksman picks. And then two, if you kind of take a page out of Perks' book, Xayah is a zone control ADC with her feathers, so she has a lot in common with kind of the mentality that how mid laners play and how much control they can have over the wave. So I think if you're already in that mindset of playing a lot of mage-oriented champions, Xayah is not that far of a reach outside of that wheelhouse as a traditional marksman.
Definitely makes sense. Functions a bit more as a caster. The Kennen, though, will now be banned away from Profit. You obviously saw last week, LEC fans, how big and game-changing those AP Kennen ultimates can be. He's not going to get that chance this time around. Of course, the Neeko is still up and available, a champion that we've been seeing a little bit more play this week after being banned out in week 4.
And Neeko works really well with AD junglers because then you have the mixed damage that you can bring into the top lane, so something like an Olaf. So there's actually a lot of potential for Profit to grab the Neeko here and pair it with Inspired's Olaf and have a really strong 2v2 top side of the map.
I want to see if that's how they're going to play it. Being willing to go toe-to-toe with Broxah and Bwipo is always a solid option. Sylas, though, now locked in. Most likely,
I think it's jungle.
I was going to say, I don't know why I said most likely. At this point, could go top, could go jungle. I think jungle's the safe bet after what we saw earlier today. It looked like a very strong pick. Obviously has seen some nerfs in that department with the Petricite Burst, the Sylas passive being nerfed, but the Neeko up and available, as we mentioned, kind of remaining ranged top laner very much in Profit's wheelhouse. Usually strong laning phase, can play it on hit, can play it AP. We'll see which direction he wants to take it. And the final pick from Rogue is they now take their time. Will it be a mid laner? Will it be a top laner? How are they going to select? Obviously, without Red Side, they do not get the luxury of perfect information, knowing where these matchups are going to go.
And there's a lot of champions that Larssen doesn't have available. You know, the Ryze, the Azir, the Syndra, the Corki, there's all champions that fit into Larssen's MO of being more of a control mage player, so we're going to see him on something different. Perhaps it's him taking the Neeko into the mid lane with that Jayce, but technically still a double flex.
Absolutely something that they have to respect. See what the final pick will now be. Hylissang going for the classic cover-overs as he usually does. But interesting, I feel like Larssen has always been able to get comfort picks in his first few weeks in the LEC.
I think GP's the safest option here.
It absolutely is! It absolutely is! Frost GP is the safest option! The safest option if you want to sit back and do nothing, but my man, Bwipo, wants to take it to Dunktown. And I'll tell you this, folks, I haven't seen a Rangar top lane in a very long time. Thank God. But from what I remember, this is a lane defined by you live or you die, and the first person to die loses forever. So we're going to find out how exactly this is going to go. You talked about jungle top 2v2?
Keep talking. I got to look
You got to look it up.
Okay, he's played it.
Froskurinn talked about jungle top 2v2, folks.
Okay, so Bwipo has recently played it. He went 19-3. He ran it with Conqueror. And basically, he builds the Tiamat for the wave clear, and then he just went kind of full damage, armor penetration. Yeah, it was a bruiser Rangar build.
Little GA, little black cleaver action. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to talk about with this composition. We're getting easily distracted by a Rangar top. But it is absolutely time for Rogue versus Fnatic. A lot of things are going to be happening in this matchup. This is, as we've already mentioned, Rogue's best chance to get a win off of Fnatic. MagiFelix's best chance to show that he is worthy of the LEC stage. See exactly how this unfolds for both lineups.
And you can already hear the crowd definitely behind Fnatic. So maybe new faces to this roster, the first time taking the stage, but they are taking the stage with the 6th man of the Berlin audience.
And now we build it up, folks. Fnatic fans strong and in-house supporting MagiFelix and the entire Fnatic lineup. Despite Reckless's absence, always good to see. MagiFelix certainly, I imagine, is experiencing some nerves on stage. A lot of pressure, big shoes to fill. As we move into our 4th game. 2 games away, rather. From the end of the first half of the split, Rogue versus Fnatic starts now. You look giddy. You look excited. I know you're waiting for the dramatic pause.
Because he took the grasp.
He took the grasp. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. So I'm actually really curious. I don't have a lot of experience with Rangar into Jayce up into the top lane. I will say that one just up front. I have some ideas about how this matchup will work. Probably includes bushes, probably includes jumping onto Jayce and making sure that he can proc that grasp.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to clarify that REC in Woolite's name is not recreational because he's going up against an auto-filled AD carry. That is his academy, or rather Polish league tag, and it doesn't mean anything other than I got to make that really dumb joke. So just disregard that for the rest of the game. I was told to tell you to disregard that. Anyway, back into the game. I mean, we could talk about junglers. They're cool. But let's get back on topic. Rangar top is... I know you don't...
So
give me some guesses here.
Well, I mean, the whole idea with Jayce is that he needs to have jungle assistance or attention. It doesn't mean that a jungler needs to camp his lane, but it needs to mean that he doesn't have a threat of being ganked because he wants to be far forward and use his range. One of the things that Jayce can struggle with is obviously if someone jumps on top of him, but normally with his ability to knock back, he can disengage from those situations, use the movement speed, create some distance, and then layer down auto attacks as you disappear back. But if Bwipo can maintain control of this, keep leaping on top of him, trading damage, then maybe the trades go in his favor. I think level 6 becomes really scary for Jayce.
Yeah, of course. A lot of brushes now. They split top lane brush, I believe this season or last season, and makes it a little bit easier. Bwipo, 2 CS in the first wave? Oh, rough start for the Rangar. We'll kind of check back in. I can't imagine level 1 or really level 2 are going to be the pivotal moments in this. I do want to take a look at the bottom lane. We do have Nemesis now playing AD carry, and I think anytime Rekkles gets subbed out, because honestly, folks, this is a regular occurrence now, we have to ask, like, what does Rekkles do for Fnatic? Is Rekkles pivotal? Is he going to be the element that decides games? And this split, while he did have a fantastic game against Splyce, it doesn't look like it's been the case. Yes, his KDA is insane, but he's not participating a ton with the team. He doesn't have great kill participation at 15 minutes. You can see he's really never there. And his damage share is pretty okay. So, Frost, tell me, how important is Rekkles for Fnatic right now?
I mean, I think it's just kind of the AD carries in general aren't as important as they once were when we were running around in an Ardent Sensor meta. I think Upset said it best on the Analyst desk just a couple of games ago, that it feels like a lot of the games are decided kind of by mid lane, which is why, when Nemesis seems to fit more with Fnatic, suddenly they seem to be on a completely different level. So, while it's always going to be nice to have someone like Rekkles in your back pocket when it comes to big 5v5s, because he can be that team fighting god tier ADC, it's probably not going to hurt a lot in the long run since games are decided so quickly.
And for now, hard to judge whether Nemesis or Rekkles would have been more effective in the situation. Obviously, just getting pushed in by the kind of dominance that is this Sivir Lux bot lane.
We do need to talk about the jungles, because Inspired has managed to steal away both blue buffs, and you can see that he's now controlled the Scuttle Crab and can go back to his own red buff. So Inspired is running this jungle right now in the first 4 levels.
Good luck, and this is kind of the expectation we wanted to set for Olaf. You mentioned it in Champ Select, but I have strong opinions on Olaf. No one else is going to die on top lane, so I'm going to say them. I don't like Olaf. He's a very high-risk, high-reward champion in my eyes. Yes, he's incredibly strong early game, but if you don't get anything out of him, he's useless. But right now, Inspired is getting a ton out of this champion. Look at the CS lead.
Yeah, but that could be evened up by Broxah right now, who potentially looking for something underneath.
Profit. The Fnatic cheers have gone quiet in brief anticipation of the gank to come.
Oh.
He's got to be empowered one. You can recast. Ferocity. Broxah is really committed to this gank.
And you can see Inspired's actually running up the lane, so has a really good read about this. 2v2.
I don't know if they want to take this 2v2. The stun is not going to connect. Broxah is immediately going to walk away, has to flash out. Empowered Shock Blast will not connect. Broxah now needs to look to retreat. Kingslayer is going to be enough. Buys a bit more time with the healing, but Prophet flashes out to safety. Bwipo now looking for a kill. Goes in the bush, comes out of the bush, is going to look for the juke. Can he move his way around the Olaf? I don't think it's going to happen. He goes down. That's the double kill for the Olaf in the early game.
So in the end, a very good read from Inspired, resets his position on the map. He automatically walks towards the top side and is able to pick up both kills right there. So overall, the top laners don't necessarily miss something after the kills go down and like a wave being pushed into the tower. You can see both people use their TP right there, but huge thing for Inspired is he's getting another great early game on Olaf.
Honestly, fantastic from him overall. Take a look back at this play, but this is the kind of 2v2 power people talk about when they bring up Olaf.
And it's also well played by Prophet. I thought there might be disaster as soon as that Shock Blast didn't connect and Broxah was actually able to get a lot of health back. I'll hold it though.
Bwipo going back to lane, trying to juke his way out using the minion, but this is very hard duo to get away from. The empowered Battle Roar will give him a bit more health. He's now on the retreat, trying to walk away. Broxah going in, the stun will connect. Bwipo burning, slowly trying to walk away. TP now coming up, the shutdown is there onto the Olaf, wants to get away, wants to leap onto Larssen, goes back, is going to be able to walk away for now. Bwipo is still alive! Healing up, the snare will connect. Bwipo now set to fall. MagiFelix can he get anything back? I think he's overstayed his welcome. Woolite now slowly but surely going to walk him down. Both sides walking away from this play, but neither one unscathed.
Big thing, though, is the fact that Woolite picked up a kill right there using the TP on the Sivir, went up to the top lane. Xayah traded it, got that extra experience, so kind of an interesting fact that everyone funneled into that top lane. Didn't even get the plate, though. That hurts.
And already, top lane
chaos.
has been incredibly explosive. And this feels very much like what you expected when you told me about this game. You're like, this is going to be a bloodbath either way. And for Bwipo, this is probably not what he was expecting.
But I didn't think it'd be a bloodbath like this. I think it's interesting that Bwipo wants to hold his wave this far forward. It makes a lot of sense because if he ever gets stuck in front of his tower, then he doesn't get access to the brush. And obviously that means a lot for Rangar, so he can use a lot of his leap. So Bwipo unfortunately has to put himself in kind of a really tricky situation, especially now that he doesn't have access to Flash, to be far forward to utilize his champion.
And he's really looking for that level 6 right now. Having Throw the Hunt available could have given him an escape, but doesn't happen. And giving Larssen an early kill is never a situation that you're excited about.
It also hurts in the itemization that Prophet has gone for, the fact that he went for a very early Executioner's Calling, so trying to deal with some of that inbuilt sustain that Rangar will bring to the lane. So things might start wildly going out of control. I'm curious how much Bwipo's ultimate, now that he has access to it, will turn this. Like you're saying, he can use it offensively and defensively, so being super far forward in that lane, still getting access to the brush, and then trying to use it to run away. Or maybe start roaming around. Hey, I don't want to lane with Jayce anymore. I start looking mid or invading with Broxah.
And I've definitely got my eyes on it because, you know, we're very used to seeing Rangar in the jungle role, and historically he's an excellent pick at punishing split pushers. But when he's splenishing them, yes,
that's
absolutely.
actually accurate.
But I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work as a top laner when he needs a lot more resources, when he's not able to hide in the jungle. So something to keep our eyes on, as Inspired is now moving down to the bottom side of the map. Woolite with the level 6, VandeR shortly on the way. A lot of potential damage here. And they're setting up now for the Infernal Drake.
So I do want to quickly kind of, while this Infernal is being done, go back up into the top lane and talk about the positioning. Prophet is playing weak side of the map. He doesn't have his jungler right there. And because there's no flashes, again, both Rangar and Jayce have to be far forward to really abuse their champion. But Bwipo let the wave push into him finally, knowing that he had Broxah on top side and Prophet didn't. So it's unfortunate for Fnatic that they lose the Infernal, of course. But Bwipo is doing a really good job on when he's controlling the minion wave to try to make the most out of this matchup.
But now MagiFelix and Broxah have to be careful because the bot lane pressure, while it has set up Bwipo to be comfortable on the top side, is making everything else a little bit more difficult. Fnatic now looking for the collapse. They will have 3v3. They have priorities. Woolite moves forward. That's a fake Woolite. Eyes on where's she going to go with the Neeko. Broxah now stepping forward. Larssen can't get anything done. He doesn't even need to. Rogue absolutely deleting Fnatic. 2 more kills for the Olaf. And Inspired is making this champion look completely and totally unbalanced. Oh! Clincher, but will be able to walk away in that exchange.
I mean, it's going to get that much easier now that Inspired is 4-1-2, very powerful in this Olaf. But you saw Broxah didn't even get, I think, the Lux ultimate off. He just died in mid-animation cast. Yeah, I like this call from Fnatic. Like, there's no dragon. We don't like what's happening on the bot lane. Let's swap it, try to find tempo elsewhere on the map, and try to break something open.
And Nemesis, despite inexperience in the role, is saying, I will solo go bot. Happy to do it. Is going to be a difficult task surviving up against Lux. Of course, if he tanks a single binding, it's going to be instant ult force, and another one after that will be death. Has to give it the respect. Ulti now coming in for Bwipo. 3 stacks, going to look for 4, is going to land the chains. Just going to be the retreat from Prophet, though. Hylissang can now step forward, is going to not get the knockup, and now Hylissang's actually in trouble. Prophet, no mana means that can't get punished.
So the execution, very questionable there, but I did like the idea using the Rangar ultimate to gap close, and then as you're leaping to make sure that you can connect with the root and trying to set up for Hilly. Unfortunately, Hilly was just too far back to follow up on CC.
And this obviously a very scattered play. And you can see they're trying to focus down one target, but Broxah, it's hard to go in first as a Sylas in that scenario against a spell-shielded champion.
And I'm kind of curious what the comms were for Fnatic there. Maybe Hilly just thought that he had a pick, but you know, there's no dragon to fight over. You didn't have perfect information about what was going to happen there, so kind of a head-scratcher in terms of plays there from Fnatic that Rogue rightfully punished.
Broxah is not strong right now, so they have to be very careful about considering him a damage set. And Sylas, of course, is a melee mage. He's either strong, which means he's tanky, he's hard to kill, he does a lot of damage, or he's weak and he just kind of needs to chill. And that's very much the situation that Broxah's in. Bwipo continuously using the Rangar passive to dodge out on skill shots, but has to be careful if he gets too cheeky here, it might cost him. For now, look at the top 3 on that gold chart. Inspired, Woolite, and Larssen. Pretty much everyone when you want your gold on in the early game. Only Profit really suffering on the side of Rogue.
And of course, we've now swapped up to where we have numbers advantage on the top side of the map since it's Rift Herald that's in play. And this is probably where Rogue want to strike next. It's now where can they get priority over this river by maintaining the priority over top lane as well as the priority over mid lane when they feel safe, which Inspired does now. They're going to go ahead and start this up. I don't know if Fnatic can actually get in a rotation fast enough to contest this. You can see that Xayah is walking to the top side, but I think Fnatic know that they're behind the play and they have to let this one go. I say that though, Hilly's approaching. Xayah is really far away and Broxah's not in position at all.
Good highlight observers. Hylissang, I don't know exactly.
I don't think there's anything here, Hilly.
TP down to the bot lane. Hylissang will just walk away, I guess, just trying to put a little fear in them, make sure they commit a few more members to secure it, but that is Herald uncontested, a 2K gold lead, a Infernal Drake, and 6 kills to 2. At this point, it might be one more as MagiFelix is now caught out. Larssen looking for the follow-up. Snare already used. The flash forward. VandeR's going to hit it, and there you go. MagiFelix deleted in the mid lane.
Very well done from VandeR right there. I thought that he might be able to walk it off when the root didn't connect from Neeko. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald now being used up into the top side.
We'll now push forward. Bwipo trying to get something back at the bottom side. We'll be able to grab a few plates, but instantly, plate and a half given over to the side of Rogue. What else can they get done? Hylissang still fearless stepping forward here. Single binding would mean his death, but has confidence in his ability to get out on time. And oh, now the dive is coming. Hylissang is going to try to make it out safe. To use the extra movement speed from the ult. He is now leaping in. Woolite locked up under tower. Does have the stopwatch to buy a bit more time. Nemesis with the ult. He pulls it back. Is going to lock him up. The spell shield will not need enough, but that Olaf is tearing through the team. VandeR will not find the binding. They're backing off now. Rogue have gotten the kill, but Broxah is now looking to punish. What ulti can he steal? The Jayce is not going to be what he needs whatsoever.
Here's Hilly.
Walks away. Hylissang still on the flank. Have to be careful. Rogue, if they overcommit here, could turn against them, but the odds are not in Fnatic's favor. It will take a miracle if they want to outplay this one. Broxah a long way off from stealing another ultimate.
I think they just have too much health right now. You're looking for a big turnaround. Remember, there's no TP on Bwipo, so Hilly's going in. This is a 3v... Oh!
Hylissang.
I don't think he wants
getting lower. TP now coming in. Nemesis coming back to the top lane. Hylissang if he can find an engage here, but Rogue pull off at the perfect time.
And meanwhile, check out bottom. Sivir is chasing down Bwipo, forcing the ultimate out of Rangar.
He's going to go back in, tries to get the kill here, goes back into the bush. No, freeze frame, goes back in, not enough! Brings it back on the boomerang blade, and Woolite outplaying mechanically up against Bwipo.
And meanwhile, Rogue then win the skirmish up into the top side. Half the wave behind them are continuing to shove into Fnatic's top side.
5K gold lead building for Rogue. It's only going to get bigger as this tower falls. Tower plates are not even down yet. And this is looking uncomfortably familiar to that G2 Excel game that we witnessed moments ago. This is absolute dominance, folks. And I know if you're a Fnatic fan that hurts to hear, but Fnatic are getting destroyed right now.
And a lot of it all started from the jungle. We're going to see another look at this one. I think you were right, small screen for me to see, but it looked like it was the back end from the boomerang blade that caught Bwipo. He fancies his chances, he turns around, looks for the counterplay, because he could just walk it out right now.
No, he knows that this is his chance to shine. Waiting for this.
Oh, boom! The flash!
Brings it back! When's the last time Woolite positioning was a positive thing? Because it is right now, folks. That was clean!
Flexed on by Woolite. Oh.
It's the new era. That's recreational Woolite, folks. He don't mess around.
Those are some nice colors.
He's going to ask to play with that tag for the rest of the season. I swear it's a good luck charm. At this point, folks, 5K gold lead. Of course, Fnatic, important to note. Yes, they made a single roster swap. It is functionally 2 roster swaps. They have Nemesis playing in an off role. They have MagiFelix playing on a team that he does not normally play on and a league that he is not used to playing in. So no doubt that this was a Rogue favored matchup, but still surprising to see it be this dominant this early on.
And you can see the Fnatic are continuing to try to hunt. Now, when we were setting expectations for this game, Fnatic play, hold it.
Back up, Bwipo now trying to retreat through the hunt. A lot of movement speed here. We'll be able to buy a bit more time as he walks away. Binding will not connect, needs to flash out to safety. Still, of course, invisible, so follow-up will be hard here, and we'll make it out. But Bwipo getting caught left and right.
So on euphoria, Bwipo explained Fnatic's play style that him and Hilly will just constantly look for plays. And I felt that going into this, Rogue actually had a decent chance into this matchup because Rogue are also a team that love to just fight you. They love to brawl, they love to go toe-to-toe to throw these punches, and usually they bring a lot more hard CC than necessarily what's showing in this composition, but that's basically been the story of this game so far. Fnatic look for the plays, but Rogue are just as bloodthirsty and just as capable to meet them blow for blow.
And impressive to see. A team that was honestly just completely lost in the previous split has turned things around. shout-outs to the team that was basically entirely promoted up here from the Polish League. Prophet will now grab the tower. 5K gold lead being maintained on top of 2 Drakes. 15 minutes and 48 seconds into the game. This is absolute dominance thus far from Rogue, and for now, Fnatic are just going to be forced to farm up and for Hylissang to continue to look for these opportunities.
And frankly, things are just getting wildly out of control. I don't necessarily know what the scaling potential is for someone like a side lane Rangar. I kind of think that there's going to be a point where Rangar is going to be Rangar no matter what, and he'll find that assassination potential. So maybe if you think of him kind of in the same way that G2 would use Pike, like to hunt on the map, but it feels like Bwipo really needs to pick and choose his targets better.
Has to be careful. No thrill to hunt, no flash available. Hylissang now coming over the wall. Rogue looking for the collapse. They have the Cloud Drake as well with the Olaf. Ultimate now used. Bwipo gonna need to pick a target to jump to. The Olaf not ideal. He's gonna heal up. He's gonna block a bit of CC. Ultimate now stolen. Decent amount of AP for the size, but you can see the Kindle Gem coming out. So Lux ult isn't gonna hurt that much. And now the retreat with the package from MagiFelix. Fnatic will not lose Bwipo, but in the meantime, you can see Neeko free farming on the bottom side of the map. In the mid lane, Sivir catching the wave. So Rogue still very much coming out on top.
And it kind of feels like both teams are actually fine as we enter a bit of a lull here. Yeah, there's some trading back and forth, trying to see if you can posture to find a pick, but we're kind of in between items. So at 2 and 3 items on various different champions, that's when more action should happen. But I think this is actually just going to be a reset and a vision war for the next 2 minutes.
And this is the point where we really get to test Rogue. Because despite the fact that, yes, Fnatic have some players that are not set up for success here, MagiFelix playing on a new team, once again, Nemesis put into a different role, you still have to assume that the structure is intact for placing vision, for contesting vision, and for moving around the map. So good opportunity for Rogue to test their chops in terms of the macro game, but also a bit easier to play when you have a gold lead this big, so we'll have to see.
And you can see the vision war right here that we were just talking about. Inspired and VandeR are just so strong at this point that if VandeR catches anyone, Inspired by himself can probably kill them.
Yeah, the Rangar caught out and dead. Stolen Lux ult will not connect, and Rogue finding the pick, move up to the top lane tier 2, right as the wave crashes, and this is textbook clean from Rogue.
There is a potential here that a flank comes through, but they would be playing at a numbers disadvantage. So again, how lucky are Fnatic feeling? They're still in between items, particularly on MagiFelix there on that Corki. So I wouldn't push your luck.
Absolutely would not. This comp goes really fast when it wants to. That is a Sivir and a Jayce and an Olaf.
This is the Mazda comp. Excuse me, the Kia comp. No, the Mazda, like zoom, zoom.
Legendary for going fast. You could have said Kia and shout out to the sponsor. You could have said Ferrari and people would have believed you and you said Mazda. All right. Shout out to the people out there with the Mazdas.
I hate you so much.
I'm sorry. Little Miata action. All right. Coming through here, though, you can see what happens when you tank a Lux Binding to the face. The enemy team is 6K gold in the lead, of course. Fnatic just going to lose out there. And for the Fnatic team, the story remains to be Frost, as it has. Holding on, surviving. You can see Broxah getting closer and closer to the Proto Belt. 2 items for Fnatic are pretty far away off, but pressure is now on Rogue to extend their lead.
And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of major objectives for Rogue to kind of slingshot themselves into a more secure position. They're trying to take small incremental advantages, so things like contesting the red buff. But there was no Baron. We're waiting on the Infernal to spawn in 1 minute 30. So for now, Rogue are just kind of hunting and placing down vision. Whereas now that Bwipo has his Tiamat completed, as well as his Black Cleaver, he's able to free farm and really hard push these side lanes. And again, we're just trying to hoover up as many resources as possible for this Rangar to actually be a functional champion in this game and have the ability to delete someone.
Yeah, really waiting to see this Rangar do anything. Obviously, it has looked pretty good in a few different trades, but
I mean, if he lands on VandeR or Woolite, I fancy his chances better this time around.
Yeah, I was gonna say this time around because last time it didn't look so good. But of course, as Rangar gets further and further in the game,
he opted into trying to outplay.
Yeah, and he scales incredibly well with both AD as well as cooldown reduction, and of course the Bone Tooth Necklace will be able to get more AD for himself. So not normally someone I'd consider a scaling champ, but in terms of raw 1v1 potential, absolutely is.
So now that the Infernal Dragon is going to be spawning in 30 seconds, you can see that Rogue have smartly moved their vision over. Again, they were kind of just waiting around for a big objective to spawn that they could, again, continue to try to force their advantages. I really like how they're doing it on the wave.
Bwipo is now slowed down, is now stunned, dodges the CC, and cannot make it out to safety, just instantly dies. In the meantime, MagiFelix does manage to break a turret, but you have to wonder what the comm sounded like on the back of that one. Rogue will now break another tier 2. And ladies and gentlemen, we're on the cusp of a Rogue victory over Fnatic.
And they're styling on them.
Absolutely are. They're starting to clear out the mid wave. Bot lane inhibitor tower is
anyone going to stop them?
They need to find the collapse here. Inspired, of course, has no ultimate available. The flash is up. Hylissang can try to step forward, but there's really no follow-up. Package available from MagiFelix.
I really like the positioning from VandeR right there to be in between the mid and bot lane. So if MagiFelix had overcommitted with that package, immediately Rogue would have closed the trapdoor.
Goes through, but another Infernal Drake. Rogue at this point get a lot of freebies. They're so far ahead, people just
This
kind of
tempo, though, this is dangerous. You can see the immediate ping towards Baron, so Rogue resetting too many members right now gives tempo to Fnatic to play this Baron, but Rogue know it. Everyone is racing towards this objective.
This is the comeback opportunity that Fnatic were fishing for now. Broxah has stolen a Jayce ult, but not ideal for the fight to come. VandeR can scat out a decent amount of vision available. Will use on the hunt, zooming his way into the pit, trying to buy a bit of time. Laser has been used, gonna make it a lot easier to contest, but eyes on Inspire. Can he make way to the pit? 9K getting lower and lower. Olaf, can he take it? But no, Broxah manages to get it, but the knockup is there. Launch in the midst of the team. It is going to be an absolute massacre for Fnatic, but they do manage to get the Baron. Hylissang is going to escape. Bwipo will live as well, and that means they're going to get 2 Baron buffs, but at what cost?
And that's the thing, they only get 2 of them out. Rogue made the tempo play, they went for the Infernal, they reset too many members, Fnatic snap ran towards the Baron, and yes, they get it out. It's especially going to help on that Rangar, but I think it's going to mean not only the team fight, but possibly an inhib.
Hylissang.
They don't have the minions. They didn't tank it. Oh.
They have another wave there to back them up. Will they just try to end here? Countdown timer's getting lower and lower. They have to be willing to take a full-on 5v5 with less resources. They are just going to back off, but an inhibitor down. Yes, they lost Baron, but
this means, what does that Baron even mean for Fnatic?
I mean, nothing.
I mean, they could stall it to maybe not lose the game within the next 5 minutes that all those pushes and that is actually what's happening. They denied it from Rogue taking it and ending everything. This is a rough spot.
And you can see Baron's going to get lower and lower here. Obviously, Laser's going to give you a little bit of information as to who is in the pit. You've got Inspired and Fake Inspired running into the pit. Actual Inspired very far behind, so was not able to get there in time. And of course, Neeko clone in the midst of the entire team.
Very clever.
I was going to say, very believable there. The
Definitely tricked me.
acting skill from Laure. I legitimately shouted that the clone was the actual Olaf, so if someone hasn't already embarrassed me and clipped that out, you can feel free to do so.
I mean, that's like pulling the Kobe. The amount of times that Neeko clone has gotten Kobe.
Don't shame Kobe.
It's just funny.
Oh. And this is interesting. Last team fight, of course, the Neeko show. That was the multi-target ultimate.
Well, when you're all stacked up in a Baron pit, fish in a barrel.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, for the Lux and the Neeko, if they want to start sieging, it will feel like fish in a barrel.
So if Fnatic can use this this Baron, and particularly denying Rogue from themselves acquiring the Baron to stall out a little bit, get closer to some of these items, you can see that Xayah working on the last crit item, the Infinity Edge. Corki now has his Trinity Force and his Infinity Edge, so Fnatic are inching closer to these power spikes they definitely need. Their team fight can still be exceptionally strong, but they need to survive this initial push. A single mistake, though, and Rogue will end the game.
A lot of poke coming in. Larssen body blocking a lot of skill shots there with the Shape Splitter, with the copy. And not a lot of damage coming out from VandeR at this point in the game. Does charge up, means he has a heal there on the back of that Athene's Unholy Grail, and Rogue going to back off. This is the point where it does get a bit harder. This is the time that Fnatic bought themselves when they did successfully secure that Baron. But Bwipo,
not again.
Is he going to throw it all away? Here comes the Mazda now running for his life. Does get locked up, and that's not what you want to see. Vroom, vroom. Woolite on a rampage.
I don't know if you've ever seen a Miata on the open road. That's basically what it looks like. It doesn't go very far.
Very unsafe vehicles. They don't have roll cages. It doesn't. It's not about cars. It's about Broxah, not Broxah, Bwipo getting caught out once again. And this is exactly what Rogue wanted. They were looking for an opportunity. Fnatic had bought themselves time, and that time is now running short. 21 seconds left on a stolen Baron buff. Will make it a bit easier to clear the waves for now. Broxah with the stolen Lux ult will be able to do more work than VandeR can.
By our wave clear combined.
Managed to take away some, but immediately the engage now comes in. Hylissang, though, just deleted. Profit now on a rampage. Rogue are just going to break into the base here. There's nothing that Fnatic can do. They do not have the stats to go toe-to-toe with Rogue at this moment. Bwipo is now coming in, but he doesn't have an ultimate. He burned it in the play earlier. Will now have to back away in the end. Rogue consistently coming out on top.
It is just brutal to watch. The goal lead is speaking for itself. You can see the poke damage that comes out of Rogue whenever they approach a tower. So yeah, there's an abundance of wave clear on the Fnatic side between the Corki and the Xayah, but if a single binding tags you, if a single axe tags you, if a single Jayce shock blast tags you, everyone just explodes.
And this, right now, for Fnatic, is a situation where, for the first time in a long time, you're telling Bwipo and Hylissang to chill, to wait, to buy as much time as possible. Because you can see the Rogue are not hesitating to make these plays.
It feels like other teams should take note of kind of the blueprint that has now been opened up for Fnatic, that if you know that they're going to go for the explosive plays, it's kind of like the G2 mentality. You must just be ready to play that style, and you're seeing how quickly it can burn them. But on the other side, maybe this doesn't happen with Reckless? We will never know.
Yeah, I think if you're Fnatic after this game, it's hard to take a lot from this one. Other than maybe Rangar top isn't nearly as good as you thought it was.
It was working for a bit there.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Well, next up is SKOG. Going to be an absolute banger of a Game 5, final game in the first half of the split.
All I'm saying is, don't give up on the Rangar just yet. I feel like a lot of this was the guy piloting the Rangar. I'm going to say this is more so on some of Bwipo's choices.
All right, fair. And here we go, folks. The last stand. Fnatic's final hope. If they can find a fight win here, they have the package. Rogue, though, are just going to back off and set their sights on this Cloud Drake instead. We are 27 minutes into the game. 7K gold lead for Rogue at this point.
We're playing clean, cautious, textbook League of Legends, so everyone knows what comes next.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be the Baron.
And the thing is it's really easy if you're on the side of Fnatic to say, hey, Reckless isn't here, we're not playing with full strength, it's easy to discount this win. But for Rogue at this point in the standings, in this race for playoffs, a win is absolutely a win.
Wait. If Fnatic don't have any morale left in them, the crowd certainly do.
The Fnatic fans are here. That mask is super cool. Little scary, but very cool. Fnatic fans ready. They want to see a victory. They came here tonight. They got tickets to watch Fnatic win. To watch MagiFelix win with Nemesis.
So eyes are on Hilly right now. He's trying to use the control wards to find a flank, but Rogue, this is why we praise them for not only just being a good team, but an intelligent team, smartly knowing that the only way for Fnatic to get back in, to get a good engage, is to look for that side flank option. So immediately Inspired's like, not today. Wanders into the jungle, clears out all of that vision, and chases and herds Hilly back to his team.
Oh, but now the trap has been set. Broxah might walk forward to check this one. The blast gun has been taken away. He knows at least one target is below him. Are they going to go for this one? Hylissang now stepping forward. 4K. Broxah needs to find his way into the pit. He secured one Baron this game already. Can he get another one? Tries to leap over the wall. In the midst of the pit, Broxah can get it! The hero moment for Broxah! Fnatic buy themselves a bit of time. They now have to survive the 4v5. 43 seconds. That's the clock. Can they survive until Broxah is back alive?
And these back-to-back Baron secures from Broxah might buy Fnatic just enough time. We still see how scary Rogue are whenever they approach an objective, whenever Fnatic are kind of bundled up in a single area. Any of this poke lands, and it's absolutely devastating. But at this point in the game, Fnatic do have the items that if they get the perfect team fight, they will hurt.
Absolutely do. Hylissang has to be careful. VandeR, a single binding lands. He'll be another member down. 15 seconds left on Broxah, buying a bit of time. He has a stolen Neeko ult in his back pocket. Maybe this is Fnatic's moment.
Engage versus poke is what it feels like.
Bwipo, is he going to be able to get Hylissang trying to find engage to the backside? The Neeko turns it around instantly. Hylissang goes down, but a lot of cooldowns burn. Luxalt will tag. A lot of low health bars, though. Fnatic may have bought enough time, may have dissuaded Rogue. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Bwipo finally has the ult. He's running forward. The stolen Olaf ult, it looks like. Is he going to go for the flank on the backside?
He's got a stopwatch.
This is so incredibly high risk. If you die here, you will lose the game. Corki here as well. 4 members strong. Bwipo goes to the backside. He's going to do so much damage to the flank forward. Broxah not going to lock a member. Beautiful use of the stopwatch. Inspired buys a bit of time. Nemesis throws out the feathers. Forces Rogue back, and Fnatic pull the trigger. They fire their shot, but they miss. They do not find purchase. And now it'll be another inhibitor down, the third and final inhibitor for the side of Rogue.
And the base has started to be flooded. Rogue, their patience has paid off. They've been playing this poke-oriented composition very well as soon as it's been crushed into the base.
And just incredibly patient. And once again, fantastic use of the stopwatch coming in for the Olaf, buying time, stopping the fight from turning around as we look back at this play.
I cannot believe Broxah A gets into this pit and B gets the smite off.
Incredible, and this is, I mean, that's a heroic moment. You single-handedly kept your team in the game right at that time. But for how much longer is ultimately the question. Now it is only a 3.5k gold difference. The double Drakes, or the double Infernal, double Cloud, definitely going to more than make up for that difference on the opposite side. Or rather, will extend that difference. But now it's time to see one final fight. Can Fnatic fight off all of these minions and all of Rogue to hold on to this game.
And that's the fact that Rogue at this position still have so many different ways that they can try to execute on closing out this game. I mean, I guess bright side for Fnatic is they have at least one inhibitor.
Hylissang, looking for a crazy Hylissang flank. Moving down, Prophet now potentially in trouble, flashes out to safety. Hylissang hits the fake, Larssen, the rest of the team just gets locked up. Hylissang is gone.
There has been no follow-up for Hilly on a lot of these engages. And I think that goes both ways, but ultimately has to be look at some communication issues with Fnatic right now.
They throw the hunt, they've stolen it on the hunt. But it doesn't look like they're going to be hunting anybody at this rate. Rogue will break the inhibitor. Very slow close for Rogue. Of course, the Baron buff is still up, makes it a little bit harder to push these minions in. Nemesis buying as much time as he can with the clean cuts, cutting through those minion waves. Rogue with eyes on the prize here. Woolite, though. Oh, man, that Corki burst. Rogue, are they going to back off here? They have the creep waves. They absolutely do not want to risk anything in this game. You can tell they are hesitating in this moment. The binding will land on Bwipo, but there is no follow-up this time around. Now retreating, and Fnatic are starting to gain a bit more confidence. They saw Rogue hesitate. They smell a bit of blood in the water. Maybe this is their opportunity to find and engage. Stolen Throw of the Hunt is up and available. Larssen off to the side. It's a fake. 5 members. Here comes the pack. This is going to be massive. On the Hunt has now been used. Broxah holds his. Doesn't want to use it. Happy just to get the cooldown. Backing off. Infernal Drake instead in the eyes of Fnatic. This Whipple now coming in. It feels disorganized from the side of Fnatic. They need a decisive moment here. Hylissang, if he steps forward, will get deleted if there's no follow-up. Broxah has the stolen Olaf instead. Whipple leaps into the middle of the team. Hylissang trying to buy a bit of time and just instantly dies. But what is the GA? He will resurrect. Now the stolen Olaf comes in the middle to flash away, though. The laser comes in. MagiFelix says this is my time to shine. Larssen, no. Cutting through the entire team. Rogue returning the fight. Whipple is fighting a clone. He's been juked and he can't get anything else. Broxah is down. That's 3 members dead. Eyes on the teleports on the side of Rogue. They have 1 for Larssen. They're just going to they might move into the base. They are going to back off. But holding on for now. That's Larssen's TP on the top side of the map. Eyes on Larssen. Can he do it? Another TP back from Fnatic. The rest of Rogue barreling down the bottom side. This would be a miraculous hold. I do not think Fnatic can do it. Larssen going for a bit more. Rest of the team moving forward, looking into the base. What else can they get? This is just going to be it, Froskurinn. After all of that, the final fight, anticlimactic, not quite what Fnatic were looking for, and Rogue now stepping forward. TSM versus Rogue debate ended. Rogue versus Fnatic debate ended. Rogue will find the win. And you can see the team praising Inspired because that was a performance of a lifetime.
Okay, save for the last, I'm going to say, 5 minutes of that game. Because I think anticlimactic really summed it up as the teams were just kind of eyeing each other, figuring out how they're going to engage. Credit to Rogue, holding their flanks, working their way through those team fights. You could tell that Fnatic kept trying to figure out how to strike them, where to attack them, but could never quite find the purchase. I thought for sure that MagiFelix had gotten a good flank on that Corki in the last fight. I hope we get a chance to see it, but for whatever reason, I'd have to take another look, but he got zoned out. The damage just didn't come through.
And it's very hard to run in an Olaf that's that fed. It's very risky that late in the game, but that moments of hesitation from some members of Fnatic. And the key word there is some, because the engages were never 100% coordinated. Never felt like the whole team was on board with the plays they were trying to make. And difficult loss to sustain.
But on the bright side, only credit to Rogue. I mean, I think it's one thing to say that you beat maybe not the exact Fnatic that you would have wanted to beat in the situation, but the nature in which you did it, save for kind of that last messy fight, was very, very clean. Huge compliments to Inspired. I thought his early game jungle pathing, very intelligent as usual. And Rogue and Inspired and Larssen in particular are really starting to make a name for themselves in the LEC.
And we are going to hear from Inspired in a minute. Curious to see how he felt about that game, how he felt about the performance, how much it means to Rogue to beat Fnatic. Even a Fnatic that many would argue is not at full strength. But at the end of the day, Rogue rising up very quickly. We've called them the dark horse of this season. And with the names that they are knocking off their list, it feels more valid than it's ever been.
Absolutely. As we take another look at this one.
Ooh, in this first play, I feel like this set the pace for the game. Not just the top lane plays, but this play right here. Because normally, Fnatic goes for a play like that, you expect it to work out for them. And this is when it went from bad to worse.
And this is kind of the Fnatic symptom. In both these back-to-back plays, you saw Hilly and Bwipo attempt to look for their playmaking opportunity. Again, Bwipo could just walk this one out. He says, nah, I've got it. But quick thinking and a sick flash from Woolite.
Take a look back at that one. And the Woolite one is my favorite. Although this obviously fantastic here from Fnatic because Woolite walks forward. He says 1v1 me Rangar. Takes it with confidence. And in this place, you finally see Larssen steadily building up an advantage, but ultimately just deleting half of Fnatic.
I do want to credit the package play there in that last Baron. Missed it the first time around. MagiFelix using the package to create a zone around the Baron to help his team secure it faster. So despite the 2 Barons going Fnatic's way, the game did not.
No.
I feel like you have to ban Olaf against Rogue now. I think that'll be the lesson from this game.
God. Today is literally the day I tweeted that I hate Olaf, and now I'm gonna be honest, Inspired most definitely shut me up there. That champion looks really, really, really disgustingly powerful when it gets even 1 or 2 kills in the early game.
Well, when you run into it in the early game and it gets fed like that.
Rangar only can really go in until level 6, and then he can kind of go out. But of course, you can see Origin getting ready for the game against SK on the stage. But before we move forward to that game, we have to take a chance to award Kia Player of the Game. At LOL Esports on Twitter is the place. Prophet, Inspired, and VandeR are your choices. I swear, Twitter, if you do not vote Inspired, I will hop into the internet, and we are going to have a stern conversation. Because as great as Origin looks right now, that man in the middle of your screen looking a little aloof in the center with the hair that looks like a paintbrush, he's going to win. He has to win. He's a monster. That performance was incredible.
Yeah, I'm all aboard the Inspired hype train. It's cool, too, because we had so much praise from kind of the background. Like, analyst coaches really speak highly of Inspired, and it just wasn't clicking. But now, seeing a couple of his back-to-back, especially his Olaf performances, I think that he just has really great instincts on where to find opportunities. And now we've seen his Origin game, his Fnatic game. Like, Inspired makes plays that I don't think players are expecting him to be able to accomplish.
Absolutely, I think just a very smart jungler. Oftentimes in his bad games looks a little bit passive, but in his good games he just looks 100% in control of everything. And excited to hear what he has to say because Laure is standing by with Inspired. Take it away, Laure.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Inspired, for joining me after the victory. Congrats on this one. You came in today knowing that you would play against a new-ish version of Fnatic. So how did this impact your preparation?
We expected some majors on bot lane, to be honest. I mean, at least I was shocked when enemy locked in Sivir. So I expect like Veigar, maybe some Swain, Vladimir, something like that on bot lane. Because Nemesis is playing. I didn't know that he can play that well on normal AD carry.
All right, and do you think the results would have been different with the regular Fnatic and Reckless playing on bot lane?
I think the game would be much harder because, of course, Reckless, Nemesis is playing AD for like some days. So, I mean, I think we would still have a chance to win, as we did today, but it would be for sure harder.
Now, last question about you. You've been popping off lately, like so much, and everybody's been praising you so much. You may be in good position for Rookie of the Split, actually. So how would you rank yourself among the LEC junglers right now?
I think it's a bit too early to rank myself high. I need to play some more games, I think, because it's only like the last 3 games or 2 games that I played really well, but I need to play more games to decide.
What do you think about the performance you had today? Because I have some information about that.
To be honest, I was really stressed today on the stage, but I guess I did a good job, so.
You did an amazing job. You had player of the game. How does it make you feel?
It's really nice.
And it's really deserved. Congratulations again. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a short break, and coming back, it's going to be the last game of the day. SK Gaming versus Origin.
Broxah now needs to look to retreat. Kingslayer isn't going to be enough. Buys a bit more time with the healing, but Prophet flashes out to safety. Bwipo now looking for a kill. Goes in the bush, comes out of the bush. Is going to look for the juke. Can he move his way around the Olaf? I don't think it's going to happen. He goes down. That's the double kill for the Olaf in the early game. They will have 3v3. They have priorities. Woolite moves forward. That's a fake Woolite. Eyes on where's she going to go with the Neeko. Broxah now stepping forward. Larssen can't get anything done. He doesn't even need to. Rogue absolutely deleting Fnatic. 2 more kills for the Olaf.
Go back.
Look, but eyes on Inspire. Can he make way to the pit? 9K getting lower and lower. Olaf, can he take it? But no, Broxah manages to get it, but the knockup is there. Launches in the midst of the team. It is going to be an absolute massacre for Fnatic. The final fight, anticlimactic, not quite what Fnatic were looking for. And Rogue now stepping forward. TSM versus Rogue debate ended. Rogue versus Fnatic debate ended. Rogue will find the win.
VoD of Finals?
Experience the LEC Finals in Athens with Shell V-Power.
Lie. My brothers don't die, we just rusty bark. I tell your girl to link me at the coffee shop. Getting freaky in the sheets, we're taking body shots. Then I finish with a facial just to top it off. Ay. My brothers don't die, we just rusty bark. I tell your girl to link me at the